Hello, my name is CarX82 and welcome back to my tutorial series. Today I'm going to be going over a couple of multi-block structures here, and those are the vacuum freezer and the implosion compressor. Now if we take a look at the vacuum freezer to start out with, you can see that it uses EV circuits, so extreme voltage circuits, but it uses HV components. And then these frost-proof machine casings are actually made from all aluminum. So there's kind of different tiers needed in this, but for the most part it is going to be a HV sort of tier, and you'll probably build it with the workstations, would be my guess. But these structures are built very similarly, so let's just go ahead and start building them. Now it's going to be a typical 3x3 structure. And it goes on the front. Now at this tier, if we look at the recipes for the vacuum freezer, you can see every single one is actually MV. Every single recipe is MV. But if you're at this point, you're probably going to be using HV power, because this is kind of what gets you into the next tier, the extreme voltage tier, which requires titanium, and to get to titanium, you're going to need to get a vacuum freezer. Alright, so that is the structure. The very basic structure. As we can see, it's formed. But in order to actually use this, we're going to have to put input buses and output buses on it. So let's just go ahead and we'll put this about here and here. Why aren't you forming? Is that just a visual glitch? Yeah, that looks like it's just a visual glitch. Because it has formed. Oh, that's weird. So I don't know what is causing that. But it is formed. But let's throw the turbo generator on the back of this thing. Give some power. Alright, so this should have power. Yep. Now what this does is turn the hot ingots into usable ingots. So all these ingots come out piping hot from the blast furnace, and if we have this in our inventory, let me turn off creative. So there we go. We're taking damage. Let me put it in there. Yeah, it didn't form. That is very weird. Let's see if I can get this thing to form. I don't know why it's only half of it's forming. Yeah. There we go. So yeah, I don't know. That was like a little kind of a glitch, but I've never seen that happen before. Alright, so there we go. So you put it in the hot ingots into the machine. It goes relatively quickly. And there you go. You get your usable titanium ingots, and you can move on. Now, since these do cause damage, if we look at the other ones, all the ingots cause the same amount of damage. So even like the most advanced Quadria, if I turn off, it still damages me at the same, even though this comes out, you need a hotter blast furnace, but it still only damages at the same rates. So now you can either pipe these into the freezer automatically with item ducts or AE, or you can actually, kind of a simple solution if you want, is you can actually automatically output these in. Now this won't work for every ingot, because not every ingot comes out of the blast furnace as a hot ingot. But if we just kind of build this really quick. Let's see, so input and an output. If we put the output there, and then I gotta throw a hatch on it, so why don't we just do, there we go. And that one formed. Alright, so there we go. So blast furnace, there we go. So if we put our, say, I think Canthal is one of the first ones that you're going to need. Put that in there. It's going to cook up the Canthal ingots. And I do have a tutorial on the blast furnace. I will put a link at the top if you would like to watch the tutorial on how this multi-block works. But what this is going to do is going to take the ingot from there, put it out to here, and what we can actually do is if I move this down, so we replace that and then put the input bus there. It does form. That's any of these casings you can replace with input hatches or input buses on the vacuum freezer, and that is kind of the general rule for most of these multi-blocks. But so there we go. There's our hot ingot there. If we actually turn this to the right, it will automatically output into the freezer, and we will get our regular ingot. So let's just watch that again really quick. It will put it in the output bus, and these actually automatically output, and we can actually turn that if we want. It doesn't need to be turned. But there we go. It'll automatically put it in there, and we will get our ingots. Obviously, though, if you put, say, aluminum in there, that is not going to work, because the aluminum doesn't come out as a hot ingot, so it'll get stuck in here. But if you have, say, 2 multi-blocks, you can put all the hot ingots in one, the other ones in another, or you can just pipe them out as you please. Now, one other use for the vacuum freezer, move that to there so we don't worry about that, is to actually make argon. And if we look at the argon recipe, the argon recipe, to get this, to use argon, it's used in some higher tier stuff. You have to get it from this recipe, which is liquid air cell in a centrifuge. And this recipe is actually not, it doesn't show. If you click on the regular argon, it's not going to show. So this is under the argon cell. You have to see this. And to get this liquid air, once again, if you click on this, it's not going to show you because the cells aren't in JEI. If we look at liquid air, to get liquid air is air in a vacuum freezer. So regular air from an air collector in a vacuum freezer will get you liquid air. And in order to do that, let me put that forward. So let's put this up here. So we have a input. We need an input hatch now. Put it there, and then about output hatch. Now you're going to do the air collector. You're going to collect your air however you want to do that, and then I'm going to take the air, put it in the vacuum freezer, and it will chill that down into the is it liquid air? Yeah, liquid air, and then obviously you can do however you want to. If you want to, say, have them fill up with these, the liquid air cells like this, you can do that, and then move those, or you can pipe the fluid into a canner if you want to do that. But that is basically the two uses for the vacuum freezer: getting the hot ingots, cooling those down into usable forms, and all the advanced ingots require these. It's a bit of a gate to the titanium. Is probably titanium, or actually it's actually not titanium. Kanthal will be the first thing you're going to use with that comes out as a hot ingot. So in order to upgrade your blast furnace to the next tier of coil, you're going to have to get a vacuum freezer. Alright, so let's move on from that. Let's look at the next one, which is actually a really easy machine, this Implosion Compressor. And this needs steel casings, pretty sure. Let's just take a look at the recipe. It uses HV circuits and some Obsidium, and then it uses a couple other types, but it needs the solid steel machine casings. And like the vacuum freezer right next to it, it is a 3x3 structure. And hollow in the middle. The computer goes right in the center. Then, like all other machines, we have to replace one of them with a... Did I break all the way through? No, I didn't. You have to replace one with a energy hatch. Now, I believe this can go anywhere. But some machines do have specific requirements, but I believe this one is one that does not. Yeah, so there we go. It's formed, so you just need an input bus, an output bus, and a energy hatch, an input one. Let's get some diesel. Alright, so this is powered up, and what this is going to do is turn, look at the uses, uses explosives to turn gem dust into the corresponding gems. So any of these, like gems that you guess, like red garnets or topaz, all these extra byproducts, you can turn them into actual gems. And some of these you get from other processing, so electrolyzing basalt or whatever, you're going to get olivine. And if you want something to do with this, you could throw it through electrolyzer, or you can compress it back down into usable gems and go from there. And we look at the recipes again. Nope. There we go. They require the dusts and some TNT. Every single thing needs TNT as a second material. So you're just going to throw the material in there, the TNT, and these require, you know, their own setup to produce the TNT. And we just throw a couple of gems in there, or the dust, I'm sorry. So you're looking at the olivine. Let's just throw 4 of that in there. And it goes super quick. You barely even saw it running, and there you go. There's your 3 olivine. Now, obviously, we put 4 dust in there, only got 3 back. So it is a net loss if you want to do that, but it does have a use for all those dusts that kind of collect in your AE system. Now, the other use, kind of the main one that I use it for, is going to be This is, you can get nether stars back from nether stardust. I think I did that one time because I got nether stardust from cutting stuff down. And the recipe, the main use for it that I have is this one. The TNT with the uncompressed iridium to get the iridium alloy plates, and you need these for the fusion reactor. And you're also going to need to do this to get the compressed iron ingots if you want to progress into AE. That is one of the requirements for compressed iron, which comes from Pneumaticraft, but you can't get this by putting the TNT and the iron on the ground and blowing it up. You have to actually put it in the Implosion Compressor. So that is kind of the gate for that. So we look at the compressed iron. I think it's the plates that have the use, if I remember correctly. Yeah, the matter condenser. I think it's actually just the matter condenser, because you need the matter condenser to get singularities, and that's just strictly for this GregBlock. The pack has been set up in that regard. Alright, but those are those two multi-blocks. Pretty easy, simple to set up, nothing too crazy, but yeah, they are required for progression in the mod pack. Alright, so thanks for watching, and have a good one.